Alright, what's up guys? This is Ed from me, and today what we're going to be doing is swapping over the clutch, the centrifugal clutch, to a torque converter. So I have all the parts that I need right here. This is the torque converter along with all the other bits and pieces, including the drive and the driven, which is over there. So everything is all here, and the way that I'm going to install this torque converter is actually by removing the engine from the chassis. Instead of taking the entire seat off and then installing the torque converter that way, it actually makes sense for me to just take the engine off and install a torque converter onto it and then mount the whole engine, because the engine won't actually be sitting in the same spot on our chassis anymore. It'll be a little bit more forward than it was before. And so as a result of that, it makes sense for me to just move one thing instead of two things. So what I'm going to do now is just get this engine dismounted from the chassis, and we'll be working over there. So here we have the engine, and the first thing that we got to do is remove the actual clutch. We no longer need this centrifugal clutch, and as many of you know from watching my earlier videos, you'll know that this was actually the clutch that was giving me trouble. I'll talk about why it was giving me trouble as soon as I get this out. Alright, so here's the issue with this clutch. As you can see here, these are the springs. These springs have worn out, so that to the point where the ability for it to actually hold in is very decreased. So as you can see with my fingers, I can already kind of pull this out and make it touch the entire body. That's no good, because even when this engine was spinning at idle, it was already contacting, and as a result there was a lot of premature wear. So this clutch is essentially no good at all, and we can actually throw it out. Make sure that you put this belt in the right direction. One side is a little bit curved and the other side is exactly a 90-degree angle. So the 90-degree angle goes towards the engine, because you'll see that on here one side is flat and one side is angled. Alright, so I think I have everything installed on this end. Let's start it up and see if it works. Alright, so far so good. So now let's mount this back up onto the go-kart. Alright, what's up guys? Next day here now. What I actually ended up having to do was take off the seat, because there was just some clearance issues still with the torque converter. A couple of things that I had to do off camera, which took up quite a bit of time. I had to swap these bolts and nuts from one side to the other side, because the clearance here wasn't great enough. So when this side was over here with this nut, it was hitting this part of the torque converter. So that was the first thing that I had to do. Take all these bolts, all 6 of them, and just kind of flip them over. Next thing that I had to do was move the entire engine as far forward as it possibly can, so that this part of the torque converter wouldn't hit the sprocket. Originally what I wanted to do was move this sprocket over just a little bit, but I couldn't, because these bolts here are essentially very seized. I even tried to use a blowtorch to heat up the aluminum, but that did not work very well. Next thing that I had to do when I took off the seat was to get myself another bolt, because the original bolt that actually came with the torque converter was 5/16 by 18 when it's supposed to be 5/16 by 24. So as you can tell, this one started stripping the shaft, which is a really bad thing, because once the actual shaft of the engine gets stripped, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Overall, this torque converter, the fitting of it wasn't too bad. One of the issues that I kind of foresee is this chain being a little bit too loose, but I literally cannot move the engine any more forward in order to tighten this. So this will basically have to do. Hopefully this slack in here on the top and on the bottom, which is actually quite a bit, won't actually cause trouble. Hopefully there won't be any chains flying off or snapping. If you guys have any ideas on what I can do to fix this, please let me know, because I'm running out of ideas. I can't move the engine any further back, or else this part of the torque converter will hit the sprocket as well as this side of it. So what I have to do now is fit the seat back on, but I have to fit it over maybe another ½ inch or so from where it was. I know on this side I already maxed out how much it can go to the left, so hopefully fitting the seat back on right now won't be an issue. But let's start it up and see how the torque converter is. Oh, didn't have it set on. There we go. Alright, so it works, and the next thing that I gotta do is put the seat back on before I go out for a test drive. Alright, so because I moved the seat so far to the left in order to make space for the torque converter, let me show you what that's like. If you look over here, originally this was touching this. So I moved it over just a little bit so that now we have clearance maybe about 4 or 5 millimeters. And all the other 3 mounting points are mounted in, 1, 2, and 3 onto the seat. This is the last one that I gotta do. I have to drill a new hole in order to mount this properly because of how much this seat is sitting on an angle. So let me make that new hole. Alright, now that we got our new hole, we could mount the last bolt and our seat should be ready. Okay, so as far as I can see, everything's ready to go, and I'm gonna do a test drive on this soon. But doing a torque converter was definitely a little bit more involved than I thought it would be. Watching a very popular YouTube channel where they put on a torque converter, they made it definitely seem like it was a lot easier than what it actually is. I guess if everything originally had lined up, then it wouldn't be so bad, but with all the little tinkering and modifications that you have to do, or that I had to do at least, in order to make this fit, it was definitely a job that was a little bit more involved than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be as simple as taking the clutch out and then swapping the torque converter in and then shortening the chain. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys like this stuff, please subscribe and make sure that you check out my next video where I'll do a direct comparison between the original centrifugal clutch as well as this torque converter. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one.